Well, I mean, it kind of suits what we're going to be talking about today.
Very nice introduction for our Thursday afternoon podcast. Welcome to Creative Talk. Another week, another podcast. Imagine that. I promise I haven't been drinking. I've literally just survived.
You're high on life, mate.
High on life.
How have you been going? How has the physical challenge been going?
Look, you and I have been dying for the last 6 weeks.
No, I'd say we've been living
For the past 6 weeks, really trying to survive by dying for the last 6 weeks on this 6-week challenge, which, you know, massive thank you to Robin Carlson from RC Fitness, who basically just tortured us for the whole 6 weeks.
For busting your balls every day.
We won't talk about ball busting, but he was literally killing us in every way, shape and form.
I mean, yes, he was pushing us.
He was
pushing us beyond our normal, right? And then you did so well.
Yeah, so how have I been? I'm just recovering from that 6-week ordeal and trying to get back into some healthy, non-healthy practices.
No, but we're still on it. This is the last week because we started a week late because we were in Japan, right?
No, Amber's still on it. I gave out everything last week. Finished. It's over. Done.
I'm gonna beat you.
So I've been doing that. We've been surviving the 6-week challenge, and we did a test at the start and a weigh-in at the start, and then we did a test at the end and a weigh-in at the end.
And how did you go?
I lost weight.
You did. I reckon you've lost at least one dress size.
One dress size?
Yeah.
I've definitely lost the size.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think I was like double XL in my shirt, and I've definitely come down to XL.
Woo! Congratulations.
The goal is to get down lower, of course, but like it was pretty good for 6 weeks. Like reduced everything that I could possibly think of. So reduced food, reduced sugar intake, reduced alcohol, completely stopped alcohol for 6 weeks, which I've never done. Well, maybe like a week, maybe completely? 2 weeks. Maybe
reduced majorly.
Maybe I didn't even stop.
Yes, you did. You did reduce a lot.
I did. It was tough though. Like 6 week, kind of challenges for me are not really fun.
Why?
Well, they're bloody hard to do. You know, I can see why people don't do them because they're not fun. And Robin actually did make this one fun. So there was a lot, even though the physical was extremely difficult, and there were days where you had to get up at 6 o'clock, and then there was like trainings with him as well as the eating, as well as the no sugar, and then we had to do the steps every day, which was like 10 to 12,000, which my average was only 2,000. So it was a struggle. It was a struggle, man.
Yes, well, I think he'd be proud of us because we're still maintaining the steps, and we're still eating quite well, and we're still working out.
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
I'm not eating well.
Oh, you did eat nearly
a
packet of Toffee Pops last night.
I didn't eat the whole packet. I left you 2.
And the day before that, squiggles.
Look, we won't talk about the past though, Amber. You know, we're trying to talk about the positives here.
What are you going to have
This is a positive
for dinner?
podcast that we talk about. What am I having for dinner? Probably McDonald's. We'll have to think about it. Anyway, welcome to Creative Talk for another week, a podcast with Amber and I, who are still recovering from our 6-week challenge, but we are today going to delve deeper into meditation and review a recent podcast which just came out from Diary of a CEO, who's one of Amber and I's favorite podcasters. There's a lot of people he's had on his show which really inspire us in a number of ways, If you haven't seen that podcast, you must be living under a rock, but he's incredible. So he had recently just had a Buddhist monk on there by the name of Gelong.
Gelong
Spelt Geelong,
Thubten.
so all the people in Melbourne here will be calling him Geelong.
Yeah, but it's one
But it's
E
Gelong.
less. Gelong Thubten.
Gelong Thubten.
Yeah.
Who shares his story about what it is that he does within his meditation practice.
Yes, and also, if you're not into meditation, this has got a lot still to do with everyday people who don't meditate, because he talks about how we are always chasing the next thing. The next thing will make us happy. If I get this, I will be happy. But the way what he teaches is no, that's not actually the answer.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I'm not like Amber has been meditating since she was 12.
Yeah.
So I am not the same level as her when it comes to meditation. She religiously does it every morning and night.
Yeah.
I religiously do it when I have clients. And I don't really use it any time after that.
Yeah, which is a pity, because he talks about why you should.
Yeah, and I should.
Yeah.
I really should.
And we know
So maybe this will convince me. So I haven't... we will review this podcast and look at the different types of things that they talk about. And then Amber will talk about some of the things that she was drawn to as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Shall we kick it off?
Let's kick it off.
Kick it off, mate.
Cut off from the world.
Is there a particular part you want to like?
And memories were coming up from the past that would build into horrific amounts of depression, anxiety, pain, and I jumped over the wall and tried to escape because of what happened to me when I was 14.
Are you comfortable talking about this?
Gelong Thubten is a Buddhist monk
who spent over 30 years helping Hollywood stars, CEOs, and corporations
stay in control within a world overloaded with stress, addiction, anxiety, and burnout.
Isn't it amazing? Don't you think it's amazing just how far mindfulness practices have come?
Yes.
Because they used to just be for monks.
Yeah, and that's one thing that he talks about too, because when he started teaching meditation in like a corporate environment like 25 years ago, it was not a normal thing in a workplace, right?
Wasn't.
And so people were reluctant or didn't understand it, and then were very questioning. But then now most big workplaces have a meditation, wellness, mindfulness thing in place, right?
Yeah, they either have a practice or now there's dedicated meditation areas.
Yes.
For people to have meditation breaks anytime they want. In like we've been in different offices and co-working spaces where they actually have that, right?
They do.
Yeah.
In a yoga room.
So it's come a long way. 25 years though.
Yeah, he was teaching it. He started
I
25
became
years.
controlled by distraction,
That is a
controlled
long
by
time.
negative thinking. What is life going to do to me next? How will I handle it? And things only changed when I hit rock bottom. I had spent so much effort trying to push that suffering away because it's so disgusting and so shameful, but it was just making it worse.
So many of us run away from pain, though.
But the reality is you can run to the end of the earth and that thing that has been tormenting you will always trip you up. And so I went back into that retreat knowing the methods are there. I just need to know how to use them, and I could learn to conquer this. And that's where meditation comes in.
Do you think you can teach me? Because I very much feel like I'm on the receiving end of life.
First of all, chuck all those things away. There's a lot of spiritual tact, isn't there?
I mean, you said it.
I actually hated meditation when I first did it because
Yes,
there's a
me
lot
too.
of misconceptions, and actually all you're doing is these three things to be less controlled by negative thinking. And the beauty of this is that they can show in brain scans. There'll be visible changes in your brain. So let's try this.
Listen, to my
It's a really good start to like having them on board, isn't it?
Exactly.
So what are the particular areas that you wanted to focus on with regards to?
If you go to, start with the his concerns about Western society.
when you look out into the world and you perform your sort of own analysis on what the world, the Western world, is getting right and getting wrong, what are some of your sort of big picture feelings, thoughts, and concerns?
Well, the way we are all buried in our phones is quite something, isn't it? And the way we interact with information has changed so much. So we are kind of bombarded or invaded by constant flow of information, which has a lot of persuasive undercurrents to it. And this is affecting our stress levels and also affecting our confidence levels. We're constantly made to feel something's missing. Something's always missing. We're not good enough. If you get this, you'll be okay. if and when this happens to you, then and only then can you be happy. So we've kind of lost our power.
We talked a little bit about the word purpose as well. What is your perspective on the state of human purposefulness?
So I think
so many people talk about their purpose.
Yeah.
Like
And
especially within their health and well-being,
Yeah.
they're all about striving for your purpose, creating your purpose, finding your purpose. Purpose is not even a purpose.
No, it's very interesting to hear what Gelong says about that as well, because everyone thinks it is, oh, you know, my purpose is to help.
Everyone thinks a purpose is an outcome, but it's not. It's a reason. No.
But not even that can, as he goes on to explain, well, from his point of view, I think everyone's chasing something doesn't exist.
Oh,
purpose.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
this issue around purpose, I think it is connected to the breakdown of religion, in that I would say, well, I think we'd all say that religion used to be very much the center of the table, and it sort of gave everybody a sense of their place in the universe. And the question of purpose was never such an issue, because everything was in context according to one's religious belief. And of course, now we're in a post-religious culture, and it's much more about the individual. And there are good things about that, of course. But what happens then is we become very obsessed with our purpose, and the word purpose itself suggests I want something. What do I want?
Yes.
And in Buddhism, we look at that wanting mind and see how insatiable it is, and how the more you want, the more you're going to want. And so from a Buddhist perspective, we're all looking for purpose, but maybe externally, because we get what we want and then want something else. And maybe what we're actually looking for is something deeper within, but we don't know how to access it.
So is it wrong?
That's a really good point.
Yeah, because we're always looking for outside validation, according to, and then the Buddhists believe it's actually true happiness comes from within. And because of the way that Western culture is, we've been trained, or we've been told, conditioned to feel like, oh, we need to strive to achieve this, or if you don't have the flashiest car, you won't be the best. If you don't have the biggest house, you won't be liked. If you don't have, all of these material things, then you amount to nothing. Whereas if you look at the Buddhist philosophy and the philosophy he goes by, it's not about the things outside yourself that are your purpose. It's actually what's inside you.
Which because of smartphones and everything else, we're not really even spending the time to look at ourselves.
No.
Let alone give ourselves time, space with which to reflect, or even understand what it is we really want, because we always, as he's saying, we're always chasing something.
Yeah.
And that something is usually a material thing.
Yeah.
It's the next job, it's the next paycheck, it's the next.
Yeah.
Which is always never ending, and it's always empty.
Exactly, because what happens when you get that next? Are you satisfied, or do you want the next thing after that thing?
No, you always want the next.
Exactly.
And so your purpose, which is what he talks about. Your purpose is to chase the thing. If you look at that as being your purpose is to chase the thing for your whole entire existence. But what we phrase it as is, I'm chasing the paycheck, or I'm chasing this job promotion, or I'm chasing this new car, or I'm chasing. Literally, you're just chasing.
Exactly, and
you're not actually doing anything.
No, and then you're never satisfied with achieving anything, because it's a fleeting moment.
And then it repeats.
Yeah.
And so you end up chasing again.
Yeah, and it's a vicious cycle, right? Because we're not living in the now. We're always living in the future, and never actually being grateful for what we have right now, because we can't.
What are some things that you've, before listening to this, what are some things that you would have thought were purposeful, or would have been something that you're working towards, like a purpose for you in your business or your life or whatever? What would be some of those things that you've done for yourself?
probably like, oh, I want to grow my business. Like, for example, our marketing business, King Creative, you know, oh, I want to work with some of the biggest brands in the world and help them grow and help them achieve their goals. And, you know, but it's always like, well, their goals are always moving. So even when you do help them achieve their goals, they're already on to the next. So there's no satisfaction in that particular thing that you strived so much to work on and achieve, because by the time you get there, there's already something else put on top of that going, oh, we now need to achieve this. So there's actually no relief. You know what I mean?
But that's from the work that you do with those brands, but your initial purpose was to work with the brand.
Yes, but then it becomes about helping the brand.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's always like, oh, I want to do this for the brand, or I want to help them achieve this, and I want to do this, and I want to work with this. You know, it's like constantly chasing.
Yeah. So did your purpose then become something else?
Yes. My original purpose for starting our company was I want to make
Ads.
But I want to create, like, I wanted to take small ideas and to make them into something awesome, something great, impactful.
Mine was to get paid. I wanted to make money, and I didn't want to work for anyone else. That was my purpose.
Yeah.
And we did that for over a decade.
And
we still do it. We still do it. And I still want to get paid.
So has your purpose not changed? Even after listening to Gelong?
Well, look, it's very early in the discussion around what it is, but he defines purpose, and I tend to agree with him. I tend to agree with him around what purpose is, and I think we put too much emphasis on purpose being the outcome when actually it's not. It's not an outcome. It's not a goal. It's a reason for you to go do something, but really there's an underlying reason for you to do that thing, right? Like if you want that car, the underlying reason for that purpose is because you want to show off.
Exactly.
Or because you want to look cool, or you want to get chicks, or you want to you want to look like the man, or the underlying purpose behind you wanting to get that job is to earn more money, to have more stuff, to travel the world, whatever, right?
Yep.
But we never say what the underlying purpose is. We always talk about the front, which is always a facade. And it's not true.
Yeah. And so he's more about being truthful and honest.
True.
And looking at things and actually what's deep down inside.
See, I used to think that money would make us happy. I used to think if we made a certain amount of money, we wouldn't have any problems. We wouldn't we'd be able to travel and do and eat and buy whatever we wanted, right? And, I'm extremely grateful for everything that we've been able to do, because we've been able to test that theory to the maximum. And then at the same time, I've realized that it's still empty and it's still shallow, which is why I think healing for me, there's a purpose in there where you don't have to even talk about it, where you're helping people through trauma, or you're just helping people in general. Yeah. Which sometimes has a monetary component, sometimes, most of the time, it doesn't. And that purpose, I can't even explain it.
Because it's real, right?
It is real, yeah, but I can't explain it at all. I know it's helping people, I know it's healing people. Yeah. But there is something in that practice of giving and helping and healing that is extremely powerful, but very, very different to like going for a job. Or getting a new car,
100%.
Or I can't explain it. It's just a massive difference.
It's not built on material outcome. It's actually you're genuinely wanting to help somebody feel better.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Than to be in search of purpose. Is it a misguided pursuit?
No, I wouldn't say that, but I would say what's misguided for us is that we are obsessed with the idea that happiness comes from the outside. And on the other side of the coin, suffering too. So I will be happy if I get this or get that or this situation or that situation, and I will be unhappy if this or that happens to me. So we become at the sort of receiving end of life. What life is going to do to me next, how will I handle it? So there's
That's important.
There's not much
I
strength
feel.
there, and
because he's talking about what will life, instead of us being in charge of how we see things, it's more talking about what will life give us next, and if it gives us something good, then we'll be happy. If it gives us something perceived to be bad, then we'll be unhappy. It's being really reactive, and that's how most humans live.
Which means?
Well, it's a very limiting way to be.
Yes, but it's how everyone's conditioned to be.
Exactly, but in Buddhism, they're conditioned not to be like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not saying we should all become Buddhist monks. It's not for everyone, obviously. But I feel like we need to, rather than go, oh, if I get this, or if and when I get this, I will be happy. Really, will you be happy? Or it's like, as you said, the more money you make, more money, more problems. That song? I don't know.
I think there's something to be said about what the thing is. If it's a materialistic thing, I think it's always going to be empty.
Yeah.
And 90% of things that we chase are materialistic, whether it's money, jobs, success, which is also, not really a thing. When you're chasing those things, I don't think they ever fill you up to where you feel accomplished, because then there's always another goal.
Yeah.
There's always the next thing. And so even though you do this great work, or you work with this amazing client and you get an amazing result, we've had it for years. The client then just comes back the next week going, okay, we've got this new product. We need to go do this again. We need to go do that again, and go bigger, bigger, bigger. And it never stops, right?
That's it.
Never stops.
Because everyone's told that they need to get more.
But do we?
No. Well, he's proven that you don't. Like those monks, they would wear the same things every day, all like every day, right? The red robes.
I could imagine people wearing the same stuff every day. Could you?
Well, if you're a monk or a nun, yes.
Yeah, totally. But I think people are too individual now these days to want to
exactly.
just conform
That's
to
these
one way
days.
of clothing.
But back in the olden days, in our grandparents' time, or even great grandparents' time, they wouldn't have had as many clothes that we did. Like we just gone over the top with stupid
Everything.
items that we don't need, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the message of meditation is that you become your own purpose, and you become the generator of your own experiences, because you learn how to take hold of your own mind.
In this conversation, do you think you can teach me how to do that? Because I very much feel like in my life, I'm on the receiving end of life.
Well,
I don't think he's going to learn how to do meditation in one podcast, sitting with an interview. You can have pieces of it, but I think it takes a long time to do that.
I think he teaches them the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is just quieting the mind.
No, it's not. That's not the Buddhist way.
Well, what is it then?
We have to get to that.
Well, it's going to take a long
to
time.
show you how
I haven't
maybe
actually
help
got
you
to all
see
of
that
that.
meditation is easier than you thought, or more applicable to daily situations than you thought.
When we think about the state of well-being in the Western world, everybody knows these stats around suicidality. If we look at the US, for example, they've slipped further in the unhappiness rankings than ever before.
Let's have a look at Australia.
Australia's number...
Average out of 1,000 adults, average life evaluation score. What, 1 to 25?
11. Australia's number 11, New Zealand's number 12.
How is Finland and Denmark just a flat line?
But that means that they've been number 1, number 2. They've stayed number 1 to number 2 from 2021 to 2025.
Meaning what? They're just happy?
Yeah. They're happier
Maybe we
than
should move
everyone.
to Finland.
I think so.
But Australia's pretty...
Australia's 11.
I think New Zealand's lying. I think that one's way
yeah.
worse than what it actually is. But
See, look, UAE is one of the most, the countries, and USA, they're countries that have a lot. and yet a lot of money, and yet they're down there in the unhappiness zone. So
And they've actually never been happy, right? Is happiness number one
yes,
up the top?
yes,
So even though they've had all this stuff, they've never really been happy. In fact,
No.
they're the worst they've ever been.
yeah, they've gone
And
from
so has the
19.
UK. UK is the worst. Germany
Yeah,
is also
I
bad.
mean the UK, they look unhappy there. You know, trust me, I lived there. They look bloody grumpy. Especially on the tube.
It doesn't actually matter where you are in London. Everyone's
The US
grumpy.
fell to 24th place in 2025 in global happiness rankings. In 2011, the US had been 11th place, and now they're 24th. And the UK followed the same pattern. The UK dropped to 23rd in global happiness rankings, which is its lowest position in a long time. But then, more sort of horrifically, the suicide
wanna look at something
numbers
else?
in the UK, the US are tremendously alarming. In the UK,
Go to the
suicide has
next
reached
one.
its
Is it
highest
wrong to
level
find
in
meaning in the pursuit of goals?
Is it wrong to find meaning? This
Oh
one?
no, he's just done
I
it.
think 90% of people listening right now would say that their meaning in life comes from the pursuit of something,
Yeah, we have done this one.
the journey towards something. It might not come from the attainment of it, being successful, being on the podium, but they would say that the meaning they experience, the joy, the thing that gets them out of bed is in the pursuit of something, whether it's building a business or, I don't know, becoming an athlete or building a charity. Are they misguided in that thought?
No, it's just that we could look deeper into our own internal psychology and see how, well, the word pursuit is everything. So we're always in pursuit of something. And the chemistry of our body in the state of pursuit is that chemical dopamine. The interesting thing about dopamine is it falls away just before you get what you want. So the chase is much more exciting than the having or the getting. And so we're in...
That is interesting, don't you think? I mean, that's why like guys like to chase girls, and then they get the hot girl, and then they're bored of her straight away.
Releasing when we anticipate a reward, it peaks as we get closer to achieving the goal, but drops or plateaus once we attain it, often leading to a sense of emptiness or let down, which is why we're never fulfilled.
Exactly, because we're chasing something that's not actually fulfilling.
Well, yeah, but it's also a chemical imbalance with dopamine.
Yeah.
So is it the thing that we're chasing, or is it our dopamine?
No, it's our
locked
dopamine.
into this constant chase. And what is the next thing?
It's both.
When will I get the next thing? And I think the reason why we feel so sort of empty or disappointed is because what we get is never enough. And meditation comes into this conversation to show us that actually what we were looking for was already there inside. That's the key point.
Meaning that we are not
What were we
getting in any way, shape, or form a dopamine reaction. Right?
When we're doing meditation.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what we're pursuing is actually inside us. What we're looking for is actually inside us.
But like what I mean is he's talking about how dopamine affects our outcome of this thing we're chasing within our purpose. But if the dopamine is alleviated through meditation, because meditation gives you a different type of
Feel good.
feel good, right? And an amazing feel good, almost removing dopamine, because dopamine becomes that addictive personality or addictive behavior or that addictive want that we chase because we want to feel good.
Yeah.
Whereas meditation could make you feel good without it.
It's like the natural high meditation.
Well, it is, right? It's
Yeah.
it's a natural high.
Yeah.
We were looking for freedom. If you think about how it feels when you get what you want, you know, there's the chasing, the wanting, and then there's the getting. There's a kind of relief, isn't there? It's a feeling of, oh, the wanting's gone away. It's like hunger. You feel hungry, you eat a sandwich, the hunger's gone away. I mean, that's a metaphor for everything, in that when you get what you want, there's this relief, the wanting, the needy feeling that, oh, when will I get it, has gone, and there's a relief. So actually, what we're looking momentarily, and then it kicks in again. We're looking for the next thing, but what we're looking for is the absence of wanting. That's the happiness we achieve when we get what we want, is a kind of freedom from wanting. So the problem is that we're caught in a cycle where we then just want something else. So I'm not suggesting let's all go and sit on a mountaintop and meditate and not have lives and not have careers. Not at all. I'm simply suggesting that we've put our focus very strongly on material things.
Yeah,
and
we've just talked about that. And I think if you attach too much focus on materialism, and if you focus too much, which we don't do, on that chemical response of dopamine, then no wonder most of society is really imbalanced.
Yeah, and unhappy.
And looking at those stats, you can see why.
I think there needs to be also a focus on the mind. And I think that's how we can learn to free ourselves.
You learnt this the hard way, through your own experiences. Can you talk to me about how you learnt these lessons?
Yeah, so it's about...
Well, I definitely became a monk through extreme suffering.
Do you want to talk about his story or no? Not really.
Oh, we don't have to, but yeah, I can talk a little bit about it. So he wasn't always a monk. Like, he came to it from hitting rock bottom, and he was 21, and he was diagnosed. He was partying too much, and yeah, and then he went to the doctors, and he was having severe heart palpitations, and they said he had a heart condition at 21. He thought he was having a heart attack. And so he was really, really sick. And then his best friend suggested they go and do this retreat in Scotland, where there was a monastery there, and you could be like a monk for a year. And he thought, oh, okay, I'll just go and do it for a year. And he ended up staying because he actually loved it.
Well, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
What shall we listen to next? Key aspects?
Where do negative
The
internal voices
advantages of
originate?
celibacy?
I mean, yeah, if you want. Go on.
What is meditation?
Do the advantages of celibacy, because people are...
Why do we want to do that?
Oh, I thought you wanted to have a look at it.
I don't want to be celibate.
No, but it's not about being celibate from just that. What it talks
I'm
about.
pretty sure it is.
Oh my god, you're the one that suggested it. Yeah, go on to what is meditation?
What is meditation?
What is it then?
It's nothing to do with clearing the mind. It's not about putting yourself in an unconscious state at all. It's about working with your mind. So it's about learning how to be less controlled by your mind, but it's not about getting rid of the thoughts. In fact, the thoughts are quite helpful. They actually help you to meditate. You see, what I was doing in those early days was I thought, okay, just sit down and just push everything away and go into the kind of Zen state. And of course, that's just like suppression, isn't it? You're just trying to suppress. You're trying to push. It's like trying to get a small child to sit still in their...
Do you know you can't actually stop yourself thinking thoughts?
No.
No, you can't. You literally, your brain is so active that it just constantly thinks about stuff, whether you are in control of it. Well, actually, you're not in control of it at all. So even if you try and turn it off, you always are in some way, shape or form thinking about something.
Yeah.
And there's a real simple exercise that basically proves this, but it happens all the time. We just get lost in thought, and most of them aren't even good thoughts.
No, and that's one thing he talks about too, and about freaking out because he couldn't. He thought that he had to clear his mind.
I think we all go through that though. Like a stage where we've had too much, or we're just sick of drinking or overeating, and then we kind of want to do something, but we don't change the thoughts that go towards it.
No, but he's more talking about during meditation, he thought the practice was to have an absolutely clear mind where there's no thoughts at all, but that's actually not correct. As you said,
high chair while you're feeding them, they're gonna want to move around. So it's not about that pushing away of thoughts. I mean, you've got to ask yourself, if that was the aim, well, why would it be the aim? Imagine if you could clear your mind. So what? You have 10 minutes of just being blank, and then you carry on with your day. Where's the journey? What journey is that? You just passed out on the floor for 10 minutes.
Might as well sleep or something.
Yeah. And I can fully understand that if you're really stirred up and miserable and stressed, the idea of 10 minutes of switching it off would be great. But it's not the solution. It doesn't work.
What is the solution?
So it is definitely about changing your relationship with your thoughts. So, okay, so a typical meditation practice is you sit and you focus on your breathing. It's different from breath work. You're not breathing in a particular way. You're not trying to breathe slowly, deeply or anything. You're just breathing normally. Just let the breath do its own thing and you're focused on it. So on paper, that sounds really clear and clean and simple. Focus on your breath. The reality is it's really messy because you focus on your breath and within a few seconds, you're thinking about shopping lists or food or sex or anything. The mind just goes. That's when the work starts. Because at some point you realize your mind has wandered. Okay, that's when many people think they've failed. They were meditating, they were with the breath, and then they realize they're thinking about emails they need to write or shopping or whatever. And then they think,
That was my mistake.
Oh, really?
My challenge was always that turning off of the brain or the thoughts, which I thought I was in control of those thoughts. And I thought that if I stopped doing things like physical activity, that my mind would also stop. And it actually was the opposite. The mind got busier just because I was still. And then there's a battle that took place for ages around how do you quiet those thoughts and how do you let them come in but then go?
Yeah, go softly.
Yeah,
without-
like go softly
yeah.
without any judgment or connection or want or any further thought. Like further thought,
Yeah.
that's hard.
Yeah,
It took ages.
yeah. And then we did learn that as well on that
Meditation retreat.
we did with a Buddhist monk. And that was a lot of meditation.
Well, look, I'll say that I was 50% there meditating. The other 50% was me sleeping, sitting up in a chair. Because we did a meditation one day for like 8 hours.
Oh, it was a long time.
No, I don't. I was coming in and out of consciousness. Like, oh, we're still here. I can go back to sleep. But it was a long meditation.
Yeah, that was a long time.
And we did a whole bunch of different. And he
Yes.
was a Buddhist monk as well.
Yes,
True.
and we did walking meditation.
Yeah, walking meditation.
Yeah,
That's right.
that was
Being
cool.
mindful with every step
Yes.
and breath. That was actually really nice.
Yes, because you were feeling what your body was feeling, not thinking about, what do I have to do today?
Yeah,
it was more like
being present
touching the earth and then
Yeah.
feeling the earth because we had bare feet.
and noticing the earth as well as the animals and the nature around you because we were in a beautiful place. But that quieting of the mind with all different types of meditation, I think really did help for me to learn that there's a lot of work that has to go into that quieting your thoughts piece, like he's saying, because I don't think unless you've done meditation for a long time like yourself, you can just go
No,
and you're
not
gone.
even. Not
Yes.
even. I'm not that good.
You are that good.
I still do
She's that
my
good.
meditation and then I'm thinking, is the cat doing a poo? Oh, that stinks. The cat just did a poo. Oh, is Kebrasca going to get up and clean the poo?
Well, sometimes he does.
Oh, maybe. Yep, he's going
I
to.
did
And
today.
you know, and that's those are the thoughts that go in my mind. Or
Oh wow.
oh, the cat's jumping on the bed. All right, yep, she's trying to bite me, and or like, what am I going to do today? I've got to do this email, and I still because the meditation type of meditation I do is different from his. He was saying that he concentrates on the breath. I do mantra meditation, so that's like transcendental meditation. Where
Transcendental meditation.
you get a mantra.
When did you get your mantra?
When I was 12.
Who gave it to you?
The people at the Transcendental Meditation Center.
And is it a secret or can you tell us?
It's a secret.
So you never can tell anyone your mantra.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, and then you just say that over and over in your head.
You just say the mantra. And then what happens? Do your thoughts, do they go away? Do they stop? Do they get calmer? What happens?
Probably get calmer.
You
There's
get
some
calmer.
there's some that are really some meditations better than others. Like in terms of what I do, sometimes I'm like really good and I stick with the mantra the whole way through. But then other times I'll say the mantra and then I'll be like, oh, do I have to go to the gym today? Is Robin going to bust my balls
Yes,
today?
yes.
You know, like stuff like that.
But your practice is like phenomenal compared to mine, which is more like on and off.
Yeah.
And you've always been in our relationship, ever since I've known you, you've always been the calm one.
That's one thing that meditation does for you.
Always, like you're
It
just
keeps you
calm all
calm.
the time.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like the screaming child being thrown out of the car sometimes.
You do tend to throw tantrums.
I'm known.
I am. It's hard for me to throw a tantrum, right?
Yeah, hardly.
Very
Have I ever
rarely.
seen you do that?
Yeah, very rarely. Oh, don't. Sometimes I will.
Well,
Yeah, go. But
yeah.
yeah, but that's only if I've been pushed, right?
Yeah, but you have to be pushed pretty damn far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing meditation does do for you is it really does help keep you calm, and also helps with creativity.
What do you think that is about your transcendental? Because he obviously talks about his practice. Or does he just generalize meditation? It doesn't matter which.
I think he just talks about his practice.
Okay.
The
So
Buddhism.
with your transcendental meditation practice, what is it about it? Because you're not doing it all day long.
No.
You're only doing one in the morning, one at night. What is it about that does keep you? Because we have a stressful life, man.
Yeah.
You know, like if it's not our clients, it's staff. If it's not our that, it's our cat. If it's not that, it's our business. Not that, it's my family. It's not that, it's your family. It's like, and look, everyone's life is like that. Not saying ours is special or anything like that, but what is it about your practice that gives you calmness throughout the day, no matter what happens? Because I've seen you deal with the most stressful situations and being the calmest, and I'm like ready to jump off like the balcony.
I think it is like the way that they teach it. It's kind of like when you're doing the meditation, it brings your heart rate down and it brings your stress levels down, and they show it in these kind of bubbles. And so if you imagine you're kind of like at the surface level and you're this big bubble of stress and everyday craziness, right? The more you sink into the meditation, the bubbles get smaller, and then you go deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
So that you get to a point where you're, I don't know, more able to handle things. It's
like
not.
it just happens to be a benefit.
Yes.
Is
of
that
doing the
you're just
meditation.
able to handle really stressful stuff
Yeah, because
from doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I would
Wow.
have said I was highly strung before, maybe.
Well, some people would say nah.
Am I? I probably in some situations I'm highly.
I don't
strung.
think you're highly strung. No.
You don't think?
No. I've met other people who will go unnamed that are
Yeah.
related to you that are way more highly strung than you.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, it's a hard thing because I've been doing it for so long. I don't know my life without it. So maybe
wow.
if I had not have, maybe if I didn't start, maybe if I hadn't have started, maybe I wouldn't be as calm. I don't know. I'd have to go back in time and then relive that part of not learning to do it.
Well, I can tell you, I was crappy, angry, agitative, impatient, and sporadic, and would throw lots of tantrums.
Yes.
And I would have like I would have real up and down days with regards to my mood.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas like now that still happens.
Yeah, but not as
but
frequently.
hardly as frequently.
Yeah, and that's
because of meditation.
And a lot to do with healing.
Oh, 100%. But
yeah.
Meditation, because I've tried meditation apps and a whole bunch of stuff over the years, but it's a practice that I'm wanting to get much better at because I know that it's fundamental in healing.
Yeah.
And it helps you in your healing practice so much that I think when you commit to it and you actually put in the time, there is massive benefits there.
Yeah.
But they're individual. They're different to the person.
Yeah.
Not everyone's the same.
No, not everyone's the same, and not every meditation is the same.
No.
Like we do one that our teacher suggests that we do called a power meditation, and that's to raise our vibration so that we can work with like in our healing practices and work with the spiritual realm more easily.
But it's also to protect yourself too.
And to protect ourselves.
And to only let in the right type of energies, vibrations, or communications that are going to be of benefit for you. It's not just to sit there and go, like,
No.
it really has a purpose.
Yeah.
And it's very powerful.
Yeah. So I've been trying to do, my goal was to do a power meditation every single day for 30 days.
What have you used the power meditation for then?
For my writing, for my creative stuff.
Oh, yes.
Yes, for my
Amber's
ideas.
writing a book at the moment,
I am.
which we won't.
We won't talk about too
Oh,
much.
we won't? Or we should? I don't know. I think
don't
it's a great
know.
idea. She's finally becoming an author.
Yeah, which is
And
funny.
yes, I'm pushing her to make her do that.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be doing 30 days of writing.
But
an
you're doing
hour a
it.
day. But yeah, we've been busy, but I'm doing
She's
as much
doing
as
it.
I can. I've got over 4,000 words so far.
Yeah, she's in the process of writing a manuscript, and then that manuscript will go to a editor, publisher, probably her mother. And I'm not
I don't
sure
know if I
I'll
want to
read
send it through to my mum.
it. You should. She did my book. She helped me with mine. Actually, both
Can
of
we
you
just
did.
go straight to the editors? Because far out. I honestly, I'm not that calm. I'm not that calm. Okay,
You just need to
meditation.
meditate more. You'll be
Meditation
fine.
has its limitations, and when it comes to my mum and her sisters, those are the limitations.
Well, I don't think the sisters will look, but I know your mum will.
I know, no, there's too much there. Like, see, yes, when she read yours, because you're not her son.
She was very nice.
She was nice,
She was
but
nice.
oh man, if I sent, because my mum's a teacher, right? If I send it through to her, whew, I don't want to have to deal with that.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
No, because you know what'll come with that.
Yes, I do.
Yes, so I don't want to. I think I'll give it to mum after
It's published.
it's published, and then it's too late, and then she can have all the criticisms in the world, and I'll just be like, it's too late, mum. It's written.
I actually think your mum will be extremely supportive and very proud, and will definitely give you her feedback.
Yeah.
So, positives across the board when you think about it, really.
Oh, I'm a failure, and they very angrily bring themselves back to the breath. That's just going to make you more stressed, because you're actually training in feeling like a failure. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
I can relate. I mean, it takes me 7 seconds to drift off when I'm trying to meditate.
So it's not that at all. It's that you're with the breath, and then your mind wanders. It's not even that you see your mind wandering. You kind of find out afterwards, don't you? Mm-hmm. It's not like I'm with the breath and I can see my mind step away from the breath and then go to a thought. It's more that I'm with my breath, I pass out, and I wake up the other side of town.
Yeah.
That is the meditation, waking up inside your thoughts. That is the definition of meditation. So you haven't failed at all. You are meditating, because what happened was you were with the breath, you got lost, you lost your mind, and then you found your mind again. Because you're back. You suddenly realize, oh, where was I? I'm supposed to be meditating. So that is meditation. You're back with your awareness.
Look, I do that
And
every
then you
single
gently
day in my
bring yourself
meditations. not on purpose.
Where you get lost and then you come back. I do this, I get lost, and then I don't come back. Now you go to sleep.
This is what you do. Oh, we've already been there, but yeah. And then what's funny is when we're doing the guided recorded meditations, and then I'll say to you, oh, do you want to do such and such, the Akashic Records one? And then you're like, what Akashic Records one? And I'm like, the one that we do, the heart one, and it's got Akashic Records. And you're like, no, it does. I'm like, yeah, you never make it to the end.
No, I don't even know what you're talking about, to be honest. I know we have like 150 meditations somewhere, but I just put it on. They all kind of sound the same to me.
That's because this is all you hear. Breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4.
And hold for 4,
3,
3,
2.
2. That's my meditation. But you know what? No thoughts come into my mind then, and I'm extremely calm. So
Yeah,
that,
it's working.
according to him, is meditating.
You're losing yourself in the
I'm
meditation.
lost.
You're lost.
I am lost in that meditation. Come find me. Come find me, someone. I'm lost.
Oh, the cat will find you.
Oh, she will. Yeah, of course. She knows exactly. Where are you?
To the breath. And actually all you're doing is those three things throughout the session. Either you're with the breath, or you're noticing that you got lost, or you're returning. And it's that returning that makes you strong.
Return of the man.
Every time you return to the breath, you are making a very powerful decision.
Return to
That's the
breath.
attachment or the addiction to
Come
the thoughts.
on.
The mind was lost in those
Oh,
thoughts,
look,
and you
this
are
is the catalyst. This
recapturing
is,
your
you might have
attention
to
and bringing it
rewind
back.
that.
So you are choosing where to send your mind. And if you do this like an exercise, almost like going to the gym and getting strong day after day, week
That's
after
what it
week,
takes, eh?
you're teaching yourself how to choose to be happy and how to choose not to suffer. So it's such a simple technique on paper, focus on your breath, come back when you get lost, is actually profoundly transformative psychologically.
Because I think most people listening.
That's what it takes too, though. It's actual real work to meditate properly and to get benefit from it. A lot of people think, well, I always thought as well that people just sit there with their eyes closed and they just and like that's not even it. It actually takes a lot of work to quiet your mind and keep your body from fidgeting and moving, and then not get caught up in the sounds that are around you at that time, or other people breathing, or and then also put aside any family, any expectations, emails, phone calls, all that. Like, it takes a lot of work to block it all out, eh?
And that's why people go and live in a monastery and become a monk, because they don't have
that'd
those
be easy up
outside
there.
things, right?
Well, what would you do? You just wake up and plant and meditate.
You wake up at 4 a.m, go and meditate.
I'm doing that already.
vegetarian.
My cat gets me up at 4 o'clock. We don't meditate though, I can tell you that much. I'm cleaning her poo at 4:30.
No, you guys are having loving cuddles at that time.
Yes. But still, like, it takes a lot of work,
Yeah.
right? And you've been doing it since you're 12.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of time.
That's a lot of meditation.
Yeah, but look at like how calm you are. I guarantee you that would not be the same had your mum not got that practice in you at a very young age.
Yeah, I think so.
And that's why you should show her your book.
Into this, assume that they're kind of strapped to their thoughts, and their thoughts are the car driving wherever it wants to go, and we're just strapped to the back of it, our ankles tied to the back of it with a piece of rope.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we just kind of suffer the consequences.
Hijacked by our thoughts.
Like, everyone's hijacked by the whole space, aren't they? With regards to like being distracted. Everyone's attention is now being overcompensated and I would say it's been attacked in a way that's never been done before.
What do you mean attacked?
Well, I think everyone's attention is being attacked because we have screens.
Oh, yeah. And that's what he was saying in the beginning.
Yeah. And because we have screens and because we're getting so much content and adverts and there's things to watch, and like someone else just recommended something for you to watch, or someone said, go listen to this. Like, it's constantly about, life is constantly becoming about, what have you watched lately? What have you listened to lately? And without either of those two things, you don't actually have anything else to talk about. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
And yet, none of it brings you peace like a meditation does.
Exactly. And instead of saying, what have you watched lately? It should be,
have you meditated lately?
Have you meditated lately? Or have your meditations been lately?
Mm.
Much more powerful.
What's another area here that you want to just cover off?
Breaking free from suffering.
Yeah, that's a good one.
We all carry so many burdens in this regard. You know, it could be grief, it could be heartbreak, it could be a colleague at work that doesn't dislike us, a comment in our Instagram page of something someone said about us.
Page.
How does one go about alleviating ourselves from this kind of burden?
Yeah, so for me, it's very much about dropping the story and looking at the feeling.
Okay, explain that to me.
So for me, this became a very important practice for me when I was in a long retreat. So I went into a very long retreat for 4 years. I became a monk for a year, and I stayed a bit longer. It was after about 4 years that I decided to do this for life, and I took lifelong vows. And then I knew about these I did some short retreats, but I knew about these long retreats. But it wasn't until 12 years later that the opportunity came up to go into a long retreat, 4 years long, where you are really just cut off from the world for that length of time. No nobody goes in or out, and you are meditating many, many hours a day. Wow. And it was the most frightening experience of my life, because I was in there alone with my own thoughts and emotions. It's not a completely solitary retreat. There are other monks there all doing their own meditation in their rooms. So there is a kind of group, but you are very much alone as well.
Wow.
And for me, the whole thing was, for the first 2 years, was just horrific amounts of depression, misery, pain, anguish, anxiety that would build into panic attacks. I was really, really shocked by what happened to me in there. Because
how long was he in there?
4 years. It's almost like his body was detoxing, right?
That's what I was going to say. I think he was purging.
Yeah.
All of the programming, all of the beliefs, all of his whatever he had, if he even had addictions.
Oh, the trauma he suffered, some sexual
Definitely trauma.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Go, let's continue with that.
I think that would be really horrible as a way of healing. Being one, isolated, and two, being like kind of unsure as to like how that's going to how that's actually going to play out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, like that's,
well,
that's
I think,
crazy.
I mean, you don't go into it if you've never done meditation or a retreat before. Like he'd been doing it for 12 years, you know, so he was already a monk. So you wouldn't have thought that that would have happened to him. You know what I mean? I think it was unexpected.
Huge shout out to Carl Rabi. Thanks so much for subscribing to us on YouTube. Thanks so much for watching, my friend. Yeah, I think like that whole ordeal of just far out being in that kind of place. I couldn't think of, like, for anyone that was either suffering from trauma or if they're suffering from addiction, like detoxing in that way would be horrific.
You know what it's like? Dark night of the soul. That's what that reminds me of. So dark night of the soul is like when you have when you do healing work and spiritual healing, there's light and then there's shadow work. It's dark night of the soul is integrating the shadow work into your healing.
Oh.
So that's kind of what it sounds like he was doing, but not intentionally. But
yeah, like, is that part of the practices?
I would say
of
so.
Being a monk, that you have to isolate and do things in that way.
Yes. You don't have to. In the monasteries, they do group meditations and stuff, but I suppose the retreat that he went on was that 4 year long.
Yeah, wow. That's full on.
But I think I thought I'd been a monk for 12 years and I'd already started to, give a few talks about meditation and maybe I thought I was quite sorted, but I wasn't. And I got in there and really fell apart. But it was an amazing thing that happened to me, because that falling apart forced me after a while to learn how to engage with what I'm talking about, which is looking at the suffering and working with that with meditation.
Looking at the suffering.
So for me, during those first 2 years of the retreat, I was completely obsessed with the story, because I was experiencing these horrendous feelings of heartbreak and feelings of depression, anxiety, just kind of a whole mass of suffering inside myself. And I was trying to almost do therapy on myself and think, okay, let's, thinking that memories were coming up from the past and thinking about things that had happened in my past. And is this why I'm suffering now? And how do I resolve that? And the more I went down that road, the worse it got. And I found myself really disconnected from Buddhism. And it was a really frightening experience, because I'm there in a 4-year retreat, I'm a monk, and I was feeling completely alienated from the whole thing. I kind of wanted to just get away from it. I wanted to run away. And things only changed when I hit rock bottom, like hugely, in that I actually I climbed over the wall of the retreat to run away. Wow. I couldn't take it.
So he actually did get to that point where it was just too much.
It's what it sounds like when people go to
addiction retreats.
Yeah, no,
Rehabs.
what is it? Rehab.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they are so used to a certain way So, you know, they take drugs or alcohol, whatever their addiction is, and their body is physically fighting it and it's in pain, and they want the next hit, that hit. So it's like, that's what it sounds like he was doing. Not saying he was addicted to anything, but like the feeling of being so depressed and anxious and all of that.
Isn't it interesting how something so pure and so still and calm and loving, like being a Buddhist monk and meditation, made him feel so much pain?
But you know why?
In that initial phase of him integrating and learning, which is, you know, what we call the work in healing. It sounds like he went through a very similar process to learn and to understand not just the practice and the benefit, but how much work it actually really does take to commit yourself to being Buddhist, and then also commit yourself to this new meditation practice. And it's not like, 4 years, go there, eat rice.
You know what I think?
It's not easy.
It is. It brings up, because you're by yourself a lot, right? And you're with your own thoughts. And so it's bringing up stuff that you may have pushed down and pushed away and been like, oh, I don't need to deal with that now. And because you're by yourself in this place for hours a day, it starts to bring up all those things, all those insecurities, all that negative self-belief, whatever it is from your past, and it makes you confront them.
Yeah, because you got nothing else to do.
Exactly, because you've got no distractions, right? So you're in charge of your own healing, and it's like, how do you keep going, or do you jump the fence? And
then what it also shows is, for those people who are wanting to go on any type of detox, that he was just trying to, and he wasn't, you know, living a massive life of craziness or debauchery or anything like that. Like, it kind of normal is what I would say his life was.
Yeah.
And yet it took him to like a really, really difficult place to get out of.
Yeah.
Which I think everyone would have to go through at some stage in order to really commit.
Yes.
Anymore. At one morning I had the most immense panic attack I've ever had, and I just like saw red and just ran. I legged it out of the retreat, which is unthinkable. You know, in a 4-year retreat, you're not supposed to leave. But I jumped over the wall and tried to escape. I say tried to escape as if I was in some kind of, you know, prison or cult. It's not like that. People do leave retreats, but for me it was this kind of dramatic, get out of there and run away. And I remember like freaking out and running down this road in the rain. This was on a very, you know, remote area of a Scottish island, and then just stopping and thinking, what are you doing? What has happened to you? And I just stopped and then went back, and I asked the leaders of the retreat if I could be let back in, and they said, well, no, you've left. But I really begged them, because I had such clarity in that moment. I wanted to go back in, and they said, okay. The abbot of my monastery said, okay, stay in a little caravan on the edge of the retreat boundary for a week, for 7 days, and think about what you're doing. And then we'll see if we'll let you back in. And during that time, I thought really deeply, and I really knew I wanted to go back in, because there was at that moment a thought of, shall I give up being a monk? Shall I give up the whole thing?
Yeah.
I can't do this. It's made me so miserable. But I really knew in that moment what my purpose was. I knew I wanted to go back in and carry on. But I also knew I'd been tormenting myself with my past, and that I hadn't worked out how to heal myself. I'd been sinking so badly, and if I was to go back in there, I would have to try a completely new approach.
Isn't it interesting how he says, for him, it was his way of learning how to heal himself.
Yeah.
Which, as we know, right, you and I, from both going through the process ourselves and still going through the process, a lot of the work, you might go to a teacher or a retreat or do a course or, you know, sign up for something, and that's never the work.
No.
Is it?
No, the work comes afterwards.
The work actually comes after the course, when you integrate that learning into yourself.
Yeah.
And you integrate it into your practice.
Yeah.
And then you then get your clients to experience that and then you have a good result with that,
Yeah.
or you have a good result personally with that.
Yeah.
That's the real
That's
work.
the real work. Yeah, because in this,
It's the real work of healing.
yeah, in this society, we've been conditioned to think, oh,
Take a pill.
take a pill, that'll fix it. And then
Drink a drink.
Yeah, and we put our healing in the hands of somebody else who's trained in that, right? Whereas your real healing, and healing things from your past and things like that actually comes from within you. And it's the promise, or it's what you've got to do for yourself that is actually more important than anything outside of you. Because yes, a healer can guide you, yes, you can learn a whole lot of things,
Totally.
but if you're not willing to do the work once you leave that class or leave that retreat,
You learn nothing.
or you just stuck in the beginning phases and you won't go any deeper than that.
More importantly, not only do you learn nothing, you heal nothing.
Yeah, because you're always searching, right?
Or you stay on that same repetitive cycle and you never heal that trauma or that incident in your life that makes you behave in that way.
Yeah.
And then so you stay on this repeating roller coaster, this wheel that just keeps turning over and over, and those relationships keep turning up, or those situations keep turning up, or your addictions keep turning up, whatever that thing might be. It never goes away until you actually understand you.
Yeah. And another interesting thing that he says, which we've skipped over, is too many people get caught up in what happened to them in the past, and then they make that about their present, right? But when you think about it, that past, you're no longer that person, because your body, if you think in it from a physiological point of view, all the cells in your body, say if something happened to you as a child, right? Trauma, your body, and you're an adult now, all the cells in your body have changed since then, and you no longer carry that in your cells. So why is the memory of that still being such a potent force in your life today? Because that was something that happened to a person that's not even here anymore. Does that make sense?
No.
Because we change, because our bodies regenerate and our cells regenerate every, I don't know, however often. So when we were a child, our physical body is not the same as how we are today, because our cells have regenerated and changed into new cells.
Is that what he says?
Yeah.
And so
what
he's
he
saying
says.
Because you get rejuvenated, you shouldn't have any connection to the past.
Because the past is something that just happened to you in another time. It doesn't have to, because you don't have to carry on. You don't have to carry it on like it's affecting you in the present.
But at what stage do you know you've rejuvenated?
I think it's how
Is it just a self-knowledge of
No.
you've
I think
rejuvenated, now I can let go of something?
I think it's how our cell. It's trying to. What his point was is he's trying to show that if we don't want to carry on the trauma, we don't have to, because our bodies are actually not the same as they were when we were that 6-year-old child as we are now. We're just carrying the memory of it. Does that make sense? It's much deeper because we've done healing a different way.
It does. And if I was just thinking about it from a mental point of view, it does make sense. If I was thinking about it from a spiritual point of view, it also makes sense. If I was thinking energetically, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, because
because
do
energy
things,
lasts forever, and energy has a past, middle, future, and it constantly exists, right? And then if you think about the physical body or the emotional, that doesn't make sense.
Well, the physical body
So
is what regenerates. The physical body is what we don't have the same cells that we had when we were 5 years old. So that's his basis for how we don't need to carry that trauma with us. Because,
I agree. I would love it if we had a trauma-free society.
Oh yeah.
And no one had trauma.
Yeah.
But, and maybe more people need to, use meditation as a tool, at least as a beginning tool into their step of healing, or even into their practices.
Yeah.
Because it's probably, and I won't say it's the easiest because it's not, it's probably the one that resonates with everything.
Yeah.
You know, some modalities that
Yeah.
we do, they don't cross over. You can't connect. They can't be used with anything else. But what I truly have done is meditated with every single modality that we've done,
yeah.
and it all works, always works in a different way, shape, or form. It always blends together,
Yeah.
which I find fascinating.
Yeah.
So if there was one modality or healing practice that you look at taking up or learning, whether it's doing his modality in meditation or transcendental like Amber, I just do whenever, but you can learn a modality within meditation and it is extremely beneficial. And I think that would be one that everyone, I think if we learned it at a younger age, like if it was in schools, like how we have physical education and we're throwing a ball, I don't see what that school is good for unless you're going to be a sports person. But if you were taught meditation, like let's be honest, if you were taught meditation as a child, how much more beneficial would your life be?
Some schools integrate it.
I would.
Some schools are doing really well and allowing, the kids are much calmer.
Of course they would.
There's less violence in the classroom. There's less fighting and tantrums and all of that stuff. More creativity. Yeah, there are.
Shall we do the
benefits.
live meditation?
How long is it?
I don't know.
7 minutes.
We can do it. Oh, well, then we'll go to sleep. Well, I might go to sleep. Or is there
Is it
anything
gonna
else
be-
you want to close off before we close off?
Okay.
I thought it would be a good way to end.
I mean, yeah, let's do it. Okay, everyone watching the podcast, it's time to do a meditation.
Or how can meditation change your life?
Or watch How Can Meditation Change Your Life?
Which one?
Yes. How can meditation change your life?
Okay.
I don't think they want
So the
to
question
sit
about
here watching
you
us
before
for
and you
7 minutes.
after.
Yeah.
What is the difference? And if whoever's listening to this right now, can you give them a before and after picture of how their life will be practically different if they implement just 10 minutes a day meditating?
Okay, so I find it really inspiring to know that there are visible changes in the brain scan after 4 days. You don't necessarily feel those changes, but knowing that gives you faith and confidence. Just like if you eat healthy food, your body will improve, your health will improve. So knowing that is a good thing. In terms of seeing the results, everybody's different. You can't draw a graph.
I'd agree.
You can't say if you do X amount of days, you will reach this level of calm or focus. But what happens is as you start to meditate after a few days or weeks, you just start to feel you can handle stuff better. So for me, my main practice is very much connected to what I was talking about before with trying to sit with discomfort and stop pushing it away. And that's a total revolution in my life. I was always on the run, always.
I think we failed to realize that actually our entire human experience is just in our minds. Does that make sense, what I'm trying to say there? Because I'm there asking you about like, what's the upside of this, whatever. But it's falling into the trap of not realizing that everything I will experience today is actually formed in my own mind.
That's the whole reason for meditation, is to know that everything is dependent on your mind.
The good and the bad.
Everything. So instead of being so obsessed with the details of what's going on, go to the source.
Yeah.
Go to the source, the projector rather than the movie.
Go to the source, be
Go
yourself.
to the source and change that and transform that and work on that.
So how has your projector changed in the last 30 years?
I'm
Like, I think the source in my eyes of what he's talking about is to go to you. Hey, as you were saying, talk about that inner part of us that we neglect, we don't focus on, because we're so distracted. We never actually take time to look at the real key important pieces of ourselves that we're either too busy to focus on, we're either too addicted to give the time and energy to, or we're too broken and hurt that we don't even want to fix it.
Yeah.
Hardly anyone is traveling around meditating and living an amazing life all the time, right?
No.
But we should. The practice of it has been proven over many, many hundreds and thousands of years for it to be. And yet it's still not one of those main practices, like I said, that should be in schools. I think it should be taught in schools. I think it should be taught everywhere. I think it should just be a way that people can use in gyms and fitness centers. And I think there should be more places where you can go and do it for free.
Yeah.
Kind of like a library should have
Exactly.
meditation pods.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
why do we have books but not have meditation? Like, yeah, I think we've got it backwards when it comes to meditation. And yes, sure, it's changed in the last 25 years. There's now corporations doing it. But then they go straight back into their busy life. They go straight back into the hectic world. They go straight back into materialism, which is basically not getting the benefit of what meditation does. Hey.
Yes, but it's better to have some meditation than to not.
Well,
Isn't
true.
it?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But is there a difference in quality? You
Yeah.
know, if you're going to bake a cake, do you want a nice cake? Yeah, a mediocre cake or a real shit cake?
You want a nice cake.
Well, then it takes practice, right, to make a really good cake.
Exactly. It's a thing I feel you've got to work on. It's not going to, it's like that Pantene ad. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen.
And if you were born in the 1940s like Amber, you would know that ad, but unfortunately, most people don't.
Oh, come on. You know what we're talking about.
Today we've been talking about meditation on Creative Talk, and we have been discussing the Diary of a CEO's latest guest, Gelong. Gelong, Buddhist monk who has, you can check this podcast out for yourself. He talks a whole bunch about meditation, his journey, what's happened with him, and also shares a lot of tips and tricks on how you can actually implement this for yourself. Amber and I both do meditation. Amber is a meditation guru. I am still learning. But both of us have found tremendous benefits in meditating on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly practice.
Yes.
And continue to do so, because I personally, from going from a place where I never used to do it, now I really enjoy meditation and definitely see the benefits of it. So if you haven't tried it, I strongly recommend that you should.
Yeah. And I think, and don't be too hard on yourself. As Gelong said, you know, when your brain starts chattering, don't go, oh, I failed, I can't do this, I'm not. I've heard that so many times where people are like, I can't meditate. And it's like, anyone, you can. It's just you're giving up too easily, or you're being too hard on yourself.
Because anything within the healing world or the holistic world, it takes a lot of work. But the work is different. It's not sitting at a computer typing away. Sometimes it's looking at yourself in different ways. Sometimes it's taking time out for yourself. Most of the time, it's you doing the work for yourself, though.
And I think a lot of people get a bit scared of because you're alone with your thoughts, right? And it can be confronting, and it can, like Gelong was saying, he had a lot of self-doubt come up, or
You had to jump over a wall.
anxiety and depression come up from you know. And so if some people have to deal with that during their meditations, and that's why maybe they don't want to be alone with their thoughts, and they want to be distracted, because it's can be scary and painful. But if you get through it, then you're going to be so much better.
And there's definitely benefits to doing a meditation practice. There's a lot of free material out on YouTube. You can check out a lot of meditation websites as well. Heaps of different places where you can actually do that these days. And it's because of people like Gelong who have made it really a practice which people now see as not woo-woo.
Yeah.
Maybe one day they'll think tarot is not woo-woo.
Well, yeah. I think
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? That brings us to the end of another episode of Creative Talk. We will see you again here next week at 4 p.m. Ka kite.